वरस्य धीमहि यन्नः सत्येन दीपये ॐ तत्सवितुर्वरं रूपम् ज्योतिः परस्य धीमहि यन्नः सत्येन दीपये
And good evening. Welcome to the Friday Study Circle. And hope we are gathered with the help of the mantra, more centered, and invoking grace and the divine's presence while we are continuing our exploration of the book, The Sunlit Path. So last week we had taken up the passage, the positive and negative sides. And this week, today we'll be starting with vigilance and seeing where we go from there. So if anybody is ready, they can read the passage for us. Otherwise, I'll read it. Thank you.
I will read it. The Sunlit Path. Vigilance. Vigilance means to be awake, to be on one's guard, to be sincere, never to be taken by surprise. When you want to do sadhana at each moment of your life, there is a choice between taking a step that leads to the goal and falling asleep, or sometimes even going backwards, telling yourself, oh, later on, not immediately, sitting down on the way. To be vigilant is not merely to resist what pulls you downward, but above all, to be alert in order not to lose any opportunity to progress. Sorry. Above all, sorry, I'll just read that one more time. To be vigilant is not merely to resist what pulls you downward, but above all, to be alert in order not to lose any opportunity to progress, any opportunity to overcome a weakness, to resist a temptation, any opportunity to learn something, to correct something, to master something. If you are vigilant, you can do in a few days what would otherwise take years. If you are vigilant, you can change each circumstance of your life, each action, each movement into an occasion for coming nearer the goal. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. So before we take it up line by line, if there's any comment or reflection, please unmute us there. I think it's really very beautifully worded and very crisp, and the importance of this cannot be stressed enough. and how it even begins, right? It just simply means to be awake. And how it feels strange in the beginning when somebody says be awake, right? Because it's like, what else am I? I am awake. And yet there are so many, I would say, layers of awakening, and that one realizes that when one begins to look to see that, oh, one is not as a this was hidden, or this I was blind to, and how it's a process and how it's a journey. So it says that vigilance means to be awake, to be on one's guard, to be sincere, never to be taken by surprise. So when you want to do sadhana, at each moment of your life, there is a choice between taking a step that leads to the goal and falling asleep, or sometimes even going backwards, telling yourself, oh, later on, not immediately, sitting down on the way. And I can think of countless examples while reading it when I found something new which I didn't know existed, or me doing certain things, me first coming in contact with, okay, I do have bad will or ill will, or how there is still greed, there is always this, what about me, those small discoveries which appear small and subtle, and yet the change that they have, the lightness, I would say, that just by being aware of them, what it has, the light it has brought in my life, it's something again to be experienced. I don't know what to say.
Ma'am, here it says, when I want to do sadhana, at each moment of my life, there is a choice between taking a step that leads to the goal and falling asleep. So I'm sort of confused that there is a choice between taking a step that leads to the goal and falling asleep. So what is the context of falling asleep, uh, like after reaching my goal, or just falling asleep as in surrender?
Yeah, that would depend on what is your goal. No, no, I think we have to first see what is my goal. What is mother referring to as a goal? You know? And if we understand little bit of what Mother Shri Aurobindo talk about as the primary goal of human life, that's growth of consciousness, progress and perfection at each moment, moving towards perfection. So whatever I am a better person, a better, skill wise, ability wise. Increase, empower yourself at each moment. You choose the highest. So the goal is a growth of consciousness. In other words, the goal can be, a goal can be finding my psychic being. That could be the goal. Uniting with the psychic being, choosing my highest possibility each moment could be the goal. They're all related. So if that is the goal, then what would mother mean by falling asleep? So wherever I am just round and round roaming about in my patterns, which do not allow me to grow and progress, that would be then called falling asleep. Like you don't take that chance which was given to you to progress. Like, for example, if somebody say criticized me at work or in family, now the very easiest that comes to me, most handy, is feel bad about it, right? That's what we do. It comes most handy. उसने मुझे सुबह कुछ बोला, हम कंटेंट पे नहीं जाएंगे ज़्यादा, हम बस मूड खराब कर लेंगे, उसने मुझे कुछ बोला and this is how bad I am feeling. So that is my older groove, that's falling asleep or remaining asleep, while I could have actually taken it as an opportunity for progress. How? Because if I look at that content of criticism, I may find something or the other which I can actually work upon. कि हाँ, ये बात उसने बोली जिस भी तरीके से थी, बट इसमें कुछ काम का मिल गया मुझे, you know, like this thing I can work upon. Like, for example, maybe I spill too much around the kitchen when I'm working, and if somebody criticizes, so instead of getting insulted and feeling rejected, I take it as, yes, I do, you know, create a mess when I'm in the kitchen. So let me take this opportunity to grow, you know, to be little perfect, better than before. Or if there is hardly any content in that criticism which was given to me, then I can take it as a growth of consciousness, as feeling, remaining unaffected. That when I know that there is no truth in that content, then what is the point of getting affected? Can I just like shake it off my shoulders and be light? So these are just like one day-to-day example where any opportunity which comes to us, day-to-day moments, it can either be my falling asleep, which is remaining in my older grooves, feeling bad about things. That's what we do all the time. Feeling judgmental about myself, about others, you know, that's what we do all the time. So that is most easy, most handy. But whenever we have something which is more requiring more effort, you know, अब मूड को नहीं फॉलो करना मेरे लिए ज्यादा एफर्ट है ना? मूड को फॉलो करना मेरे लिए बहुत इजी है, राइट? और दूसरे को ब्लेम करना वो बहुत इजी है, वो अलग बात है, उसमें मैं भी परेशान होंगी, लेकिन इजी, मोस्ट हैंडी. If the tape is running, I don't have to do anything, it's effortless. But where the tape is not running, I have to put effort. Like, there is a mood which is coming, but I say, sorry, you know, time's over, time's up, not following. And if there is a content in that context, you can improve on something, improvise on something, that I take it, you know, very selfishly for my progress, that okay, this is something which I can work upon, let me work upon this. Very objectively, very factually, like a scientist, you know, improving his experiments. So that's what comes to me when it's about working towards the goal, which is growth of consciousness, becoming more and more a divine individual in alignment with our truth, or falling asleep, which is remaining in the old patterns that doesn't require anything, no effort.
Yes, thank you. So, falling asleep is basically falling asleep in the higher nature and being awake in the egoist nature. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I think here when it says vigilance means to be awake, right? So in even with this context, it's saying falling asleep. But I think instead of and, if it was or, it would maybe have less, it would be more clear. Maybe I am not sure that something happens. There's a choice that I take that step, like you were sharing, to the goal. Not this time, not this time I will let this conquer me or puppet me. Or I fall asleep as in don't do anything, right? Like it's just the pattern that is living. Or sometimes even go back when I tell myself later on, right? Like I even go back, I lose it, sitting down on the way. So just, I think a very visually mother has given this, that you can see this. Am I sitting down? Am I falling asleep? Am I taking the step forward? And every moment, especially when, that day we're talking about karma yoga, right? That very beautifully you had described that how we need to when we do things, when we are actually there in action, we see so much. So now it's a visual for me. Okay, something has come. I'm being poked. Do I take the step forward? Do I fall asleep? Do I go backward? Or am I sitting on the way? Yeah, it's very nice. This is really interesting, that vigilance is to be awake, to be on one's guard, and to be sincere, right? Like when mother was asked, right, what is the one quality that if one can develop, what would be the one thing she would say, say that needs to be developed in every individual? And mother said sincerity. I mean, that's it, sincerity. So if I'm not being vigilant, I am being insincere. And it's so, I mean, it can be like common sense, right? And yet sometimes these things escape us, and it's good to know. Because if I'm not vigilant, I think sincerity is not possible, right? Like what will you be sincere for, towards, right? You'll just be sincere towards the things that are taking you down, maybe. Yes, I'm sincere towards cleaning my house. Yes, I'm sincere towards all my duties and responsibility, but where is that taking me? The vigilance towards where I need to be sincere, in addition or at all, is a very important key to begin working on oneself, to begin connecting within. And that ties up with the aim of life, right? That what am I working towards? What am I living for? What am I breathing for? I mean, sorry, it's sounding poetic, but yeah. What is my everyday directed towards? And am I vigilant towards that? Because the level of blindness is shocking. It's really shocking. Yeah, if anybody has any sharing, please unmute anytime.
Kabir ji has many couplets and songs on this satarkta or vigilance, many of them. And I think I've shared a couple of examples that he gives. One is where he talks about the women who walk on rope tied to two poles, and the husband is making drums, sound of drums, and she's dancing, with a long stick in her hand. And if she's not vigilant, then she slips and falls. Now the thing is that when will I feel that I'm falling and I'm not vigilant? Because usually the way we live in ordinary consciousness, it's a fallen state, and like I don't feel the need to change. But that's why this is for those of us who want to walk this path of conscious sadhana, or whatever we can say, making ourselves better and better every day. Because there I am actually making an effort to rise above my regular state of running. And when I slip and fall. But for a lot of time, for a long time, that ground level is where I am, usually there. So there is nothing like a falling. I am there all the time. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, Acha Taru, I thought.
No, I'm so
Yes,
sorry.
I
I
thought.
realized.
Okay. So, yeah, so it's very interesting to see that only vigilance would matter to those of us who are now wanting to be better and better versions of themselves every day, every moment. There it would matter, oh, I slipped. But otherwise, if I am always living on the ground, and this is not meaning grounded, that's not that, means like a living on a lower ordinary state of consciousness, then what's the point of vigilance? So that woman who walks on the rope is like walking at a higher level. She's putting effort, so she has to maintain that balance, because it has not, supramental change has not yet come, that balance comes very naturally. Just like we were talking about the other day, that it's only in the supramental level or the change where it's a law of nature that it's in alignment with the divine. But right now, I have to make effort. I have to rise and I have to walk on that thread of being vigilant and aware. So, there it matters a lot that the moment I slip in my awareness, I am down below, and what is down below? My older patterns. So those of us then feel a slip, that we say, oh, why did I do that? I could have been better. So we feel like in retrospect, we can, if we reflect, we see that दाल में कुछ काला था. लेकिन अदरवाइज अगर पूरी दाल काली है तो फिर फर्क ही क्या पड़ रहा है, मतलब ठीक है काली दाल है. बट अगर this the more we become aware of that, how much purity and how much what we want for ourselves, the more little instances begin to matter, and we notice more slippages, that oh, I slipped again, oh, I slipped again. I could have been better, because we are trying and putting effort to walk on a different level. So that is one of the examples that Kabirji uses on vigilance. And the other one is this one of this person who carries water in an earthen pot from different distances, and she has to carry water, and yet she has to talk with her friend. Talking is necessary. All of us have to talk. So she has to talk. Lots of conversation is happening, and then she is also to be aware that oh, this should not fall, because it's water in this earthen pot. It's important for the house, and all the time, even while she was conversing with the friend, her focus is on maintaining that alignment properly, that it should not fall. So that's how we can develop this vigilance, that all the time we are alert, we are aware of the movements in ourselves, parallelly as we are engaging in the world. So this is another example that we can use, and many more.
Would it be possible that we can all share a little bit of on vigilance, like what is my understanding, and if there, because it's so important that we don't even realize I don't realize I'm not vigilant till I come, kind of something is, I don't know, so many examples are coming to me, but just if we can just all unmute one by one and just share what vigilance means to me. And maybe what can I do to incorporate more vigilance in my everyday? Anything that I can share on that would be maybe help in moving us a little bit more towards that direction. So please, I'll either call names or we can do this in our own accord. Yes. Hanji Ravi ji, please.
मैं ये कहना चाह रहा था कि एक मिनट जरा मैं अपना कैमरा ऑन कर लूं. बुद्ध ने जो है इस बारे में बहुत ज्यादा एम्फेसाइज किया है कि सचेतन रहो. इसमें एक छोटी सी कहानी, छोटी सी बात बता रहा हूँ कि जैसे हम लोगों के जैसे कहीं गाल पर या नाक पर मक्खी आके बैठ गई तो हम लोग फट से एकदम उसको उड़ाते हैं. तो भगवान बुद्ध ने ये तक कहा है कि बहुत सचेतन होके, अवेयर होके उसको उड़ाना है. होश में रखें, होश में रहो, सचेत रहो. ये बहुत बड़ी चीज है. हम पूरी जिंदगी जो है वो बेहोशी में जीते हैं और सचेतन नहीं होते हैं. तो और देखा जाए तो ये बहुत छोटी चीज नहीं है, बहुत बड़ी चीज है कि अगर देखा जाए तो ऑलमोस्ट 99.99% लोग आदमी सचेतन नहीं है अपने बारे में. और एज फार एज द डिवाइन, जो हमारा अगर पाथ है तो उसमें तो सिंसियरिटी इज द मेन की ऑफ द डिवाइन डोर. मदर ने कहा है sincerity is the key of the divine order. So sincerity or awareness is a lot of, there is a difference between sincerity and awareness, but मगर फिर भी हमें सचेतन होकर ही अपना जीवन जीना चाहिए. और ये बहुत बड़ी चीज है, बहुत बड़ी चीज है. मेरे इसमें ये विचार.
Yes, Chetna, please. Yeah, Chetna, did you want to unmute and say? Okay, Captain is going. Yes, Captain.
Okay, good evening. In fact, when I was a child going to school, I was reading about Vigilance. So I read one of his sentence: "Arise and awake, stop not till the goal is reached." So the question was coming to my mind that arise and awake, but why this awake? Like vigilant means to be awake here, is said. So if I'm not awake, awake means the first English we understood that awake means suppose you are sleeping and you have to get up from the sleep in the morning. So you say, are you awake or are you still sleeping? So that was the sense which we are understanding. But at the time when you say arise and awake, this is how can I get up, arise, stand up? I was in the lying position. How can I stand up if I'm not awake? So that question was coming in my mind over a period of time. And then, of course, again, as Monica ji was giving a lot of examples, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, he explained. Somebody has drawn a picture. There, one nest of a bird, and in that bird is sitting on the eggs. Actually, there are 2-3 eggs in that nest, and the bird is sitting covering the eggs. So the eyes are little open, 75% closed, and only 25% eyes are open. So that is that vigilance actually, because she is performing the duty, because that somebody should not come and take away the eggs or break the eggs or something and all. So Ramakrishna Paramahansa says that I want this photograph. I like it because our mind, as Ravikantji was mentioning, that our mind is so not at all. Actually, we are totally off in general, and I cannot calculate how much percentage, but most of us are our mind is somewhere else, and neither I do recognize who am I, and so that vigilance is really is very important. So what is that? The bird in the nest. Bird in the nest is sleeping, taking rest, as well as doing the duty. So Ramakrishna Paramahansa says that we have to perform the duty. Most of us in the family life, so we have to perform like this. So mind has to be somewhere else, and we have to be most of the time our attention should be somewhere else. So that is the vigilance what mother is saying here. I understand. And also the Ramakrishna Paramahansa has given one example, like he said that flattened rice, what we take like chuda, so that in villages and all, when it has been prepared, not by machines and all, when it is prepared, there is one system by which it is continuously being pushed actually, and that rice is again heat, means the paddy is boiled and little dried up, roasted, and after that it has been heat again and again such that it becomes flat. So that system in Bengal it was known as dheki. There is one somebody is a fulcrum in the one end, that one lady will pull it down and again release it, and it will fall on that hole where this flattened rice takes place. So that lady who is putting her hand inside, and she is moving the paddy such that that get evenly getting cleared and all this. So she is doing 7-8 jobs at a time. So it's given in the story. It goes like this: that she is talking to the other lady who was putting that pressure on the fulcrum. She is talking to that lady. One job. Secondly, there is one fireplace where this paddy is being roasted. This boiled paddy is being roasted. So that is one fire. She has to put the fire little bit forward and all this, concentrating on the fire, and she has to move that on the fireplace. This paddy is been kept there. So with one spoon, that is a spoon-like substance, then you have to move that. And there is one child in the lab, and there's one customer who has come outside. She has come to buy actually, and last time she has taken that money was to be paid and all this, so she is giving her mind there. So there are 7 important jobs that lady is performing at a time. So the Ramakrishna asked, where is her actual mind? Where is the major place actually where? So that is when she's putting the hand inside that hole where the paddy is being flattened. So that if it falls on the hand, then the hand will go. It will break. It will fracture. All the fingers will get fractured and all, and she will not be able to do the business. Actually, she was running the family with this business, but she will not be able to run. So the Ramakrishna Paramahansa says that your vigilance, vigilance here is, our attention should be somewhere else, and the minimum effort we can put in all the jobs whatever we're doing. Like we say, we're a family man. I don't get time to concentrate or remember or anything of this nature, or little pranayam or whatever we wanted to do, and we are not in a position to do. So the Ramakrishna Paramahansa says that yes, well, there is a way, there is a will, there is a way. So this is the way. If she is uneducated, if she can manage all these jobs at a time, but still she is not getting injured in the process of making this. So similarly, we have also to move in all the places, but our mind should be fixed somewhere else. Thank you.
Yes, Captain, thank you. Here in this example, the consequences look so dire, right? That if it's not done, the hand, like you said, will be crushed. But unfortunately, every time we slip or we let go or we say, okay, not this time, we don't feel that matters, right? We just take it very lightly. I just take it very lightly that, nahi hua, we'll again. So we don't realize that, that importance of that moment ke agar ab nahi to again it's a failure and again I have to karna to mujhe hi hai. I'm the only one who has to do it. And unfortunately, I don't take it as seriously. I feel I'm not losing anything. I'm not getting hurt. And that is where I think that is why I take so long. And yeah. There's even another, quote of the mother on this I'm remembering and just paraphrasing. There was something like this, that in every human, there is a beast crouching, ready to bounce at the slightest non-vigilance. So the only remedy is constant vigilance, and we have seen that beast, again and again and again and again and again jump out. And we just call it nature. That is, I think, the main thing to note, one of the main things. That's natural, but if somebody will say something to me, of course, I will shout or feel bad or scream. So what we have to transcend, what we have to resist, what we have to say no to is what we accept as me, as my ordinary, normal, everyday reaction, which is pulling me again and again. And that example was so beautiful. I had not paid that much attention that firstly, to be vigilant, I have to be above the ground, right? Because walking on the ground, I don't need to be. It's my pattern. I already know that. So now that I am even wanting to be vigilant shows that I want to step a little bit higher on the rope, and that's grace and blessing in itself. And yeah.
I think for me, being vigilant also means that there is a choice that you need to make. Uh, there's always good and bad in the world. And when it's outside of you, there's a choice that you can either go the good way or the bad way for me. There's so many temptations outside, and sometimes those temptations um, are not very clear or visible. You may go for a particular reason that, okay, that's good company, that's my friends, I need to be with them, we'll do the activities together, but maybe it's clouded. Maybe they are getting into activities which may not be um, wise to get into. Maybe it's gambling, maybe it's drinking. So there's a choice that you have to make over here, and that's your vigilance. So that's external. Sometimes you can't control the external factors, but that internal choice that you make is where you can be very, very vigilant. So for me, I think you can still have friends, you can still have those choices, but you can change in which situations you want to participate with them. So this is the vigilance. There's a lot of internal vigilance that we need to keep, and the external vigilance is important to not get tempted by those situations and to disengage. So that's an important part of vigilance. I think it's very, very cognitive also at times. It's where you need to use your intelligence or your choice or your past experiences and not repeat your mistakes if you've ever done before.
Yes, thank you, Deepa. You know, again, that jaagte raho, right? That thing when you were sharing, it came to me that, do I ask myself, okay, is somebody awake? Is somebody awake? Stay awake, stay awake. Jaagte raho is very symbolic here. That lying down in my pattern, sitting down, going back, sleeping is natural to me. But now that I want to, again, I'm just repeating myself, step up my game or just step up, I have to constantly remind myself that jaagte raho, vigilance at all levels. Yeah, Chetna's internet connection is a bit low. Jagan, would you have the capacity to share right now, or we can proceed if okay, so I will share the screen again. So, to be vigilant is not merely to resist what pulls you downward, but above all, to be alert in order not to lose any opportunity to progress, any opportunity to overcome a weakness, to resist a temptation, any opportunity to learn something, to correct something, to master something. Yeah, so just, this clarification that we might mistake that if I'm just able to resist, okay, I will not fall, I will not fall. That's part of the vigilance that is expected to of me if I am wanting to, how they say, sadhu, correct myself. But in addition, to not to lose the opportunities, and I think when Monica, you were sharing, you had covered this aspect, right? That I can rise. So overcome a weakness, resist the temptation, any opportunity to learn something that I want to learn, of course, and not just everything in the name of just learning, to correct something, to master something. It feels like, am I making the good use? Am I I don't know, making the best of this opportunity, this life that is given to me.
I think यहाँ पे वो aspect भी आती है where all of us are aware of the term humiliation. It's a very interesting term. So humiliation, if you look at the etymology, I don't know much about etymology, but this much, humiliation may, if it is coming directly from Hamas, and Hamas is coming from earth. So when we say I am humiliated, it means I am grounded, I'm down on earth. So it's actually a beautiful term, like even humble, being humble is a related term, coming from the same root. So I think we have to develop, that's why mother says endurance. We have to allow ourselves to be humiliated, because it's only the ego which is getting humiliated, right? And if I remain in the ego, then I get hurt if I am humiliated. But if I am humiliated and I take it as, okay, what can I, as what we were reading, what can I correct here? Forget about the hurt, because you disconnect from that, because it's the ego, which is this rigidity in my brain about myself, that this is me and how dare he say, this to this me. So when I'm not that rigid and I'm ready to be humiliated, okay, karo, humiliate, karo, insult, I am a shameless creature and I'll progress, I'll use every opportunity to progress. So I think then we also not only dissociate from our older rigid self, but we give ourselves a new birth. So we have to allow ourselves to be humiliated. कर लो जितना insult करना है, reject करना है, allow, because what matters is my progress. What matters is I have to correct myself. All my weaknesses are there, I know, and thank you for bringing them forward, because if you would not humiliate, then how would they come forward? Because I myself, by sitting myself, I would not get to know of many, many things. I may know of some things, but not all the things. So I think this is and by allowing other persons to, okay, persons or whatever situation, I'm not saying that, okay, you ask for humiliation, okay, come humiliate me. But in the sense that if we ever receive, from time to time, we receive humiliation, in that moment, if rather than defending myself, I can make the necessary correction and not focus much on the hurt, I think then it's a very good little step ahead. Because then when I'm not getting hurt by that humiliation, then it means I'm actually that in that moment I'm dissociating from that little limited ego self. I'm more than that, I can work on myself. So then we don't bother about who insults me, who respects me, that all is so secondary, because that becomes so important for us, that, oh, that person should respect me, I should get his approval. वो सब गया secondary, everything is secondary. What matters is, let me work on myself, let me perfect myself. So being very selfish here.
Yes. Very interesting how from humble to humility to humiliation those are all positive traits, and how suddenly it's equivalent to shame, right? Disgrace, like how it. Just taking the last.
Yeah, I just can you pull it up a little?
Yeah.
This was second paragraph. So I think this is again, you already reiterated that to be vigilant is not merely to resist what pulls you downward, but above all to be alert in order to not lose any opportunity to progress. So I think this again, we have in various ways touched upon this earlier also in many sessions, that it's not enough to just do neti. It's not enough just to reject. what am I cultivating in that space which is now remaining when the niti is done? So, like mother says, like jealousy came and you rejected jealousy. So you created a hole, big hole in your being now where jealousy used to stay, but it is lurking around. But what am I cultivating in that space? So that's where come the antidotes in Buddhist terminology. What is the antidote of jealousy? Feeling rejoicing in somebody's happiness, being happy for others. So mother says that not only to resist what pulls you downward. So I would not listen to the dictate of jealousy, for example, in this jealousy, but above all, to be alert in order not to lose any opportunity to progress. So if this case of jealousy is taken, for example, I see it again in my being, then okay, I'm not following the dictate of jealousy, but parallelly in the time given to me, what am I doing? So and this can be for in context to context, this can be like variety of ways. One could be what Aurobindo says, that how can I be jealous, because there is only one divine in you and me. So can I contemplate on this, that to feel that, okay, how would the divine be feeling when he's having that success through you, to your outer form? It feels nice. So we have to cultivate something in the place of that thing that we have rejected. So just wanted to reiterate that, because we have touched upon that, but it's never enough. We forget.
Yes, and the rehabilitation, the giving of if you're taking something, we are giving something because we are used to holding something. So so would you just take this last passage, next passage?
If you are vigilant, you can do in a few days what would otherwise take years. If you are vigilant, you can change each circumstance of your life, each action, each movement into an occasion for coming nearer the goal. And again, goal can be, we can use different words for goal. Goal is like a fulfillment in your day-to-day life. That can be goal. Like, I did my best today. Of course, I can do better, but I see that I resisted many things. I did not fall prey to many things, and I cultivated. So, and we all feel, we don't have to admit it or make a record of it. If we want, we can. But it's just this inner feeling, inner knowing that one is on purer, purification of the being is happening. And every day we are making use of every day, because we don't know how many days we are left with. हमें क्या पता अभी कितनी साधना हम कर सकते हैं. Of course, more lives to come. Who is saying not many more lives to come? But right now, whatever little time I have in 24 hours of the day, or whatever right now a few hours I have with me, little opportunities, not to lose them. And then the day really feels like a stretched day. Like at times I have a feeling that, okay, morning, it seems like, okay, 2 days ago was the morning of this day, because so many opportunities you have made use of. So as if you are becoming timeless, so in 24 hours you're stretching the time. You're getting in touch with that eternal aspect in you. If we are making use of all these little moments, they may be very mundane moment, you may not really notice, okay, this was the moment, oh, here I needed to be vigilant, like you were sharing earlier. So but it's fun, I can say, when we are making use of these moments. It's enjoyable adventure. Again, difficult times are there, but it's an adventure which is enjoyable. We don't complain then. Nothing to complain.
If you're vigilant, you can do in a few days what would otherwise take years. So when I was in the school or college, I heard a story that Swami Vivekananda used to read very fast. And at that time, whatever books are available on philosophy of the world philosophy and all, he has finished reading all those. So when he was in the college, and some friends came to know that he reads very fast, so they couldn't believe it. So they bought a new book from library and they wanted to take a taste of it. So they surrounded him and gave him the book. So he just turned the pages and then he give them the book to read. And he says, "You can ask me any question out of this." So they asked the questions and he replied correctly. So then, so this information was there. So I knew that this is not a false statement, but this is definitely true. But how can this be? So when I was doing that officer's course, actually, we had to undergo one rapid reading course. So that was in the evening. This is extra classes actually. If anybody is interested to learn something else other than the curriculum, so this. So then the rapid reading course I joined. I was curious to know this, how can it. And within 15 days, I could see that my speed has increased just a double. Means if I was taking 5 minutes to read one page and comprehend, now within 2.5 minutes, I could do that after doing that course. Then progressively I improved on that later on. The thing is that there are certain problems or issues which we are used to from the beginning. So that diverts our mind. One of them is concentration. First of all, I have to be concentrating my mind, and then that others. Actually, somebody has got the habit to put the finger or read one word at a time. So, so the directing staff who was taking these classes, he said that in the newspaper there are 8 columns. So each entire column, right, there are 5 words in that. So all the 5 words you have to see at a stretch with both your eyes. You have to practice. You have to practice looking not word by word. So it will take time. So if you can read line by line, then it will be faster. So like that, only few tips was given, and I thought that I saw that it was possible. So like here, that vigilance. Actually, if you are really vigilant, it is not only that negative traits like you are going down, but I can improve upon, and which could be done in many months or years. That can be done within a very short time. So this is the practical experience which I had in my life. Thank you.
When I started reading aloud, with Sri Aurobindo's text, like say maybe the beginning of Life Divine and all, like in the beginning, it happened that when I would start reading the sentence, I would get lost after 5, 6 words, right? Like what? Like because it was so long that I would just, and then I would get stuck, and then I would continue to read, and I am seeing that the more I don't know what word to use, practicing vigilance, the more I'm aware, the more I am silent in my everyday, the easier it is for me to even read that full sentence with full comprehension because I'm more present, right? If I am lost in my everyday, for me to say read one sentence like you were saying, right? 6 words at one time, 5 words at one time is not possible because at any moment I'm again, even though it appears I'm reading, so much is going on in my head, which is very strange to confess or to say. But if I observe, that is true. I read one word, it takes me somewhere. Oh, the cup of holy water, and I will say, oh, I did not have my cup of tea. That's how the mind just brings it anywhere. But the more, how we say therav, the more stillness, the more presence there is, we can see it in each and every sphere of our life. When Monica, you were talking about how a day seems so long. So when I'm not losing myself in the forest of thoughts, which consumes my day, right? Like I had maybe 30 minutes free. And what did I do? Maybe I watched YouTube or Netflix or just got lost in my thoughts. And when I wake up after 30 minutes, technically, it feels, oh my God, itne bach gaye. Kahan gaya time, right? And if I'm meditating, for example, 5 minutes seems like, yaar, 5 minutes hi hue hain. Like just saying that when we make these small, small changes in our lives, a lot of things change around us, like a lot, a lot. But again, it's for listening or sharing, it means nothing. But once we start doing it, we see that how actually a day feels so long. And one has to at times remember, okay, was it today morning? But it seems like, because so much, like you said, has happened since then, because I was so available to what was happening that life was not passing me by. So this, habit that we so casually say that, oh, I was just sitting, I was just lost in my thoughts or something. It's actually eating us, eating our time up. Like जैसे दीमक अंदर से खोखला कर रहा है और खाली कर रहा है और दग तो रहा है कि बिल्कुल ठीक है, right? The wood appears to be all shiny and glossy and it's totally eaten from inside. This is how me indulging in my patterns of being lost and being anywhere or just again and again falling traps to these entertainments which we say are relaxing us, but they are not. If I'm vigilant, I will see myself. I don't have to believe anybody. Suddenly, everything, it seems that I have so much time. I have so much time. Yes, anything before we move to-
Just the words that came, just again, I'm just repeating myself, so forgive me for that. So arise and awake, Badaji was sharing, so it just reminded me that we should just maybe remind ourselves that when I say, when masters are saying you are asleep, it means that I am awake in my storyline. That is concrete for me, that is real for me. So we are in, as if we are dreaming all the time, we are hallucinating all the time, so we are asleep. And when I am awake, I am fully here and now. I'm not lost, as you were sharing, I'm not lost in those storylines and threads and all my thoughts and feelings. And it doesn't mean that we become numb like a stone. This gives a lot of space for truer thoughts and truer feelings, actually, when we stop engaging much with the storylines. So when I am in storylines, I am sleeping. And when I am fully awake in the body, present to the present moment, then it can be called a level of awakeness, like a level of awakening. So in that sense, we are sleeping most of the time. But when we begin to become aware that I am sleeping most of the time, then already a kind of an awakening has begun to come. That, oh, I was sleeping. Again, I dozed off. Dozed off in the sense that I went into the story, slippery slope again. So like that, we begin to catch ourselves and slowly it becomes stable. Yeah. So just wanted to add on that.
It's so obvious, and yet we keep missing it. Talking mostly about myself, that say when I'm asleep, what it means is I'm not present to what's happening consciously. My consciousness is not here, right? Like to the body, to the surrounding. And when I'm living my day, there's so many times, like most of my time, I'm not here. I'm not conscious to what is actually happening. How did I come that? Why am I reacting this way? What do I actually want to do? Small, 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 small things. I'm not awake. It's just a machine that's working. And then, a master says, कि अरे जागो, जागो, जागो times. And I wonder, कि अरे जागे तो ये है ना, मतलब, because it doesn't, I don't realize, like, say, Thai says, right? Like that, he just, like, he has so many other, so many teachings that how about when Like every, maybe he says 3 times in a day or 3 times in an hour. Just check within, right? Just see what the body, which posture it is in. Just pay attention to 2 breaths, 1 breath maybe. And it sounds silly, right? इससे क्या होगा? इससे, what happens is that I just come to realize that in all the other movements, where was I? Where was I? Because the level of connect I feel in that 10 seconds, 15 seconds is really deep. It takes me somewhere. So it just, again, it's a movement towards more wakefulness, because I see, if I'm aware, the depth I can touch with every breath, and how in the other breaths that I'm taking, millions of them, how I'm actually not awake.
Another one little couplet from Kabir I'm remembering. Again, as part of a song actually. It says, "Thari kaya nagar ka kaun dhani, marag mein loote 5 jani." So he says, who is the master of your body? Where is he? Gone, drunk. And he's drunk on the senses actually. All that we listen, all that we think about, all that we constantly touch, feel, sense, all that. He's drunk on that. So he's lost. There is no master in this palace. So he's asking, Thari Kaya Nagar ka kaun dhani? Who is the master? Who is the lord of? Where is he? Marag mein loote 5 jani. So all the deers of 5 senses, they are, as you were sharing, they eat us up. Yeah. So the mind has to be home in the body. That's what, like when we take the help of breath, it's like a thread with which I come back home in the body. It feels the body has a master now. It's conscious. It's amazing how many examples have been there for such a long time, so many years, and we can still manage to go on sleeping. It's really remarkable.
And you know how when when I am talking to my kid, I'm like, कितनी बार तो बता दिया ये नहीं करना है, how so, and yet the same sentence must be directed at me कि कितनी बार कब तक. Yeah.
और अभी ये सेशन करके फिर सो सकते हैं, मतलब हमारी तो दाद देनी पड़ेगी. Yeah. We can give a seminar on being awake and then sleep after that. So.
Or sleep while giving the seminar also. Why to lose that moment? So I think we'll just read the whole passage once, and if there's no reflection, we can then end today and then use the lower movements. Yeah, if anybody wants to read, they may. Otherwise, I'll read them.
Yeah, I'll read.
Yes.
Vigilance. Vigilance means to be awake, to be one's guard, to be sincere, never to be taken by surprise. When you want to do sadhana, at each moment of your life, there is a choice between taking a step that leads to the goal and falling asleep, or sometimes even going backwards, telling yourself, oh, later on, not immediately, sitting down on the way. To be vigilant is not merely to resist what pulls you downward, but above all, to be alert in order not to lose any opportunity to progress, any opportunity to overcome a weakness, to resist a temptation, any opportunity to learn something, to correct something, to master something. If you are vigilant, you can do in a few days what would otherwise take years. If you are vigilant, you change each circumstance of your life, each action, each movement into an occasion for coming nearer the goal.
Thank you. Thank you. Although it was a small passage, Jagan, you want to say any?
Listening to these examples, being vigilant over how I react to things, and how I have a very animated expression to everything, and be to be sure that I'm not being overly dramatic to a certain situation. You know, I find that most conversations I'm having with my housemates, outsiders, going to a store or anyone, I'm able to look at myself as to how I'm reacting to it, and kind of take a step back. In most cases, where I'm not able to take a step back is with my parents. You know, like I feel that as I'm growing up, my parents are becoming more like kids, and I'm becoming an adult. The way, because they cannot, they're not able to be in line with the technology, and in some ways they kind of take a step back because of they don't understand certain things. What happened day before yesterday is, um, my father was telling me the story of Mahabharata, Bhagavata actually, where after the war, how you know Dharmaraj and all his brothers keep walking towards the Himalayas before they enter the heaven. And he used to he to me he I find that my father is a very good storyteller. So I recorded that video call session, and I posted it on YouTube on a private account. So only me and my dad and my mother could see it. No one else can see it. It was a very personal thing to me. So I told my father this, that he posts so many quotations in his WhatsApp status. I said, do not copy this link, please, and do not share it with him. I told him and my mother, said, this is very private. Please don't do it. There's nothing really too private in it. It's just a story, he said beautifully. Uh, and 2 hours after the conversation, couple of friends of my Indian friends, my friends in India, call me and say, "क्या story था bro?" मैं बोला, तुझे कैसे पता? And they say, status तो देखा है ना? तो मैं बोला, status देखा है? So I checked the status, and yes, he posted it on his WhatsApp status. He put that link on his WhatsApp status, and almost 2 3 people have seen it. And I was, before I called him, I was mad. I was sort of not mad, but I was like, why does he do this? And I called him and I said, what's going on? And he told me that, maybe when I was posting all this quotations and all, maybe I've copy pasted it accidentally. I didn't do it intentionally. And I said, okay, then, yeah, can you remove it? And he said, yeah, I will remove it. And he removed it. I didn't argue with him. I just politely says, okay. In a funny way, I said, you want to become popular or something, you want to start a YouTube channel and all. And the next morning, I woke up and I thought, that was a story I would really love for everyone to listen to. And I said, just go on with it. But what I've realized is, with my mom, with my dad, it is very hard. It is very easy for me to get, uh, you know, uh, triggered, because I find that why do they do the same things over and over again? But this practice of trying to be a little bit more observant of my actions before I even put them out is sort of helping with my in my relationship with my parents, because um, I don't want to be um, yeah, I just want to make it easy for them when interacting with me. And this has certainly helped, but also there is a progress I need to make in this, where I don't even have to start a conversation before I kind of react to this. Just wanted to share that.
Yes, thank you. You know, you said you started with that how they act like kids and you are the adult, and yet you ended up with realizing that you are being a kid, and it was fine. It's nice how we come the full circle. And we
Yes.
all have sticky areas, right? Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead.
No, I was just saying we all have those sticky areas, those certain relationships or certain people in which, because it's more challenging, because we are more closer, sometimes we are unable to see, right? Like they say, we are unable to see our eyelashes. So again, like we can step back from the outside situations and we say they are easier. So if we just inculcate a little stepping back, which again takes effort, we can have the same level of, you know, I don't know, discernment or some better viewing observation of the situation and not fall. But it takes time and will and aspiration. Yeah, that.
This reminded me, Mother shares something which is very helpful again. She shares that the moment you see something in you is becoming grave and serious, it's very helpful. And we take some matters like, oh, this could not be done, this cannot be done. So, Mother says, as soon as the atmosphere becomes grave, you can be sure that something is wrong, that there is a troubling influence, an old habit trying to reassert itself, which should not be accepted. So I think it's really, for me, it has been really very helpful that the moment something becomes like, oh, how can this happen? Something serious, means I have to be, again, I'm holding something like a weight on my shoulders. So yeah, Mother reminds us of that. It should not be accepted that way.
I think I'm just trying to make it clear about what I learned from the session. And I think that point which Monica mentioned about cultivation was so nice. Because sometimes when our whole focus is on resisting, we spend a lot of energy which could have been used wisely to bring about something nice, is wasted in resisting. And this point of cultivation is so nice that it kind of captured the. I was just thinking of this incident where there are these three brothers, and they're all in different parts of the world. Their parents are old, so one of the brother decided to do something to help the parents out. But because money is involved, he wanted all his other two brothers also to get involved in this. And obviously, there are some who, for whatever reasons, do not want to assist or help. But that should not be the reason or excuse for the brother who wanted to do something for his parents to not do just because others are not doing. So, this is vigilance that we need to develop to not forget our duties. Also, it should not be an excuse that because others are not doing, I will not do. You should not forget your duty about what you need to do as a human being or as a son or as a daughter. And this vigilance we need to have, that we should not just be reflectors of the situation or of people if they are not on the right path. That does not become an excuse for us to be not on the right path. So cultivate so many good habits of helping out, doing your duty, and all of those things, instead of just all the time thinking that, okay, I'm going to resist this temptation and actually end up not doing anything. You can't be inert in this whole process. It needs to also be a very active process of developing yourself.
Yes, thank you. And it would be so nice if I don't even call it a duty, right? Say in this example, a child wants to do something for the parent and it's love, right? When parents have done things for the children or when we do things for our friends and all, for anybody, it can come from a sense of beauty. Beauty is that I don't want to maybe, but I have to. And love is I want to, right? Like I want to. And it's so strange when you were sharing, it was so evident that because nobody's doing, I should also not do. But logically, it should be the opposite, right? Because nobody is doing, I must do. But how we work, again, how our cleverness tells us to work is कि कोई नहीं करा तो मुझे क्या प्रॉब्लम है, right? And that's what we say, हाँ हाँ बिल्कुल ठीक बिल्कुल ठीक. And problem नहीं है, but yeah, I want to, I would love to. That too, yeah, can be. Yeah, very interesting, these examples, what they show us, how we do things.
Yeah. Mother says that any step, any moment that I spend without progressing, she says it is as good as a step towards our grave. That is the importance of progress in our life. Yeah.
So we'll end the session here. So, so I guess just before ending, just aspiring and praying for more and more vigilance, especially towards the things that I need to be vigilant about, my own movements, what's happening around me, how are things working. I mean, the things that actually matter. I pray that I can be more awake, more moments in my life. And so I'm not just praying for this wakefulness for everybody. And just like we like to share the prasad from a temple, sharing all learnings, all merits through these learnings and otherwise with all beings. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.